On Monday, President Trump outlined his new budget, which would, among other things, cut lots of spending. Now, during this address, he also talked about his continued plans to repeal and replace Obamacare. Repeal and replace, repeal and replace. We got to repeal and replace it, right? I mean, we're going to first get rid of it, then don't worry, we're going to have something to replace it. We're not going to leave you guys hanging or anything like that. Well, that's great. Turns out that seems to be a little bit more difficult than what he originally thought it would be. And he's actually going to talk about that now. Let's take a look.
And get states the flexibility that they need to make the end result really, really good for them. Very complicated issue. We have come up with a solution that's really, really, I think, very good. Now, I have to tell you, it's an unbelievably complex subject. Nobody knew that healthcare could be so complicated.
Nobody knew healthcare could be so complicated, except literally everyone who's had to deal with any sort of healthcare. Trump hasn't had to deal with health. The guy's rich. He's like, I don't know, I'm just going to throw some fucking money at it. Good enough. And the rest of us, a little complicated. Not only that, but we're speaking about the ACA. It only took years to craft and then to implement. And besides that, it's also a very complicated conservative plan involving free markets, tax subsidies, insurance risk pools, all this very complicated stuff rolled into this law to actually make it work. It's amazing that they figured it out and that it doesn't have more issues than it already does have. And to be honest, it would be actually a little bit less complicated to just expand Medicare for everyone else. Medicare already has a basis for it to work. Medicare, we already know how that works. If you expand it to everyone, it would be significantly less complicated in the long run to expand it to everybody else. Now, of course, one person who proposed doing just that was Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders, now he was on CNN with Anderson Cooper talking about this, and here's his reaction to Donald Trump saying that it's so very complicated. Let's take a look.
I'm wondering, when you heard the president today saying, quote, nobody knew that health care could be so complicated. I thought nobody knew health care would be anything but complicated, but apparently the president said nobody knew that it would be so complicated. Were you surprised by that?
Well, some of us who were sitting on the Health Education Committee, who went to meeting after meeting after meeting, who heard from dozens of people who stayed up night after night trying to figure out this thing. Yeah, we got a clue. When you provide health care in a nation of 320 million people, yeah, it is very, very complicated. And maybe now, maybe the president and some of the Republicans understand you can't go beyond the rhetoric. We're going to repeal the Affordable Care Act. We're going to repeal Obamacare, and everything will be wonderful. A little bit more complicated than that. We remain today, and let's not forget it, the only major country on earth that doesn't guarantee health care to all people. We pay the highest prices by far for prescription drugs. Let's address those issues. Let's get beyond rhetoric.
Yes, let's get beyond the stupid bullshit rhetoric of repeal and replace. You want to fix it? That's great. Let's actually do that. You want to fix it? You want to expand it like most Americans actually do. You know, more and more polls continue to come out which show that Americans don't want to repeal. They're like, hey, whoa, hands off. We got something actually that's kind of decent here. You know what? It could be better. We could fix some things. But instead, you want to trash the whole thing and promise this fairy dust replacement? No. We actually want you to do something. We actually want you to fix it. That's what most Americans are saying right now. And I've done polls, recent polls on this, and another new one out today, where most Americans are against a repeal. So that's what the American people are saying. Now, as far as how difficult it is, you should probably take it from somebody who actually works on legislation instead of someone else who thought it would be so super simple. It turned out to not be so simple. Don't take advice from somebody who can crash 6 casinos. This guy has no idea what he's talking about. Donald Trump is a child. Look, basically what he's doing is that he's saying, yes, we can do healthcare. He's promising healthcare that will be better, cover more people or everyone, and somehow do it cheaper. It's not true. This is, if you were to do a Medicare for all expansion, that's what would help. That's what would cover everyone and actually do it cheaper. Instead, no, health savings accounts, which is more fairy dust. And, oh, look, it benefits the richest Americans. And of course, tax breaks. Again, benefiting only the richest Americans. So that's what this game is. His poorest supporters who rely on the Medicaid expansion, which, by the way, also polling says is incredibly popular, they don't understand that Donald Trump is selling them nothing but snake oil and fairy dust, along with the unicorns that he's selling, okay? Look, all this situation, healthcare is incredibly complicated, super complicated. Look, even a Medicare for All system, putting it into place also would still be fairly complicated, though I think it would be a lot less in the end than keeping the system that we have, which relies, of course, on public-private partnerships and setting up state exchanges, doing all these rules involving the corporations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of complication in here. However, again, the Republicans, and Trump specifically, don't understand any of that because he is a child with simple thinking. Baby. Sad. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.